Hey everybody, it's Bjorn from WP Learning Lab. In this video, I'm going to go over the installation and configuration of 4 essential plugins that I think need to be on every single WordPress website, or at least a plugin that does the same thing. Not necessarily these exact ones, but plugins that do the same thing as these ones do. So these plugins, the first one is going to be Contact Form 7 that we're going to use to make a contact form for the Contact Us page. We're going to install SEO by Yoast, which is a plugin that allows us to quickly customize our SEO settings and adds a bunch of extra fields to pages and posts that help you improve SEO for those. We're going to install the Wordfence plugin, which is a security plugin. And we're going to install Google Analyticator to easily integrate Google Analytics with your website so that you can track your traffic data. So let's start with the first one, Contact Form 7. We're going to use it to make a really basic contact form so that people can contact you from your website. So here we are on our dashboard, and the first thing we want to do is hover over Plugins on the left and click on Add New. And we're going to type in Contact Form 7 in the search field and hit Enter. We have Contact Form 7 as the very first one on the left, and we want to click on the Install Now button to install it. On the next page, we want to click on Activate Plugin. And now we have Contact Form 7 installed and activated, and what it does is it adds a new menu item called Contact on the left, and we can click on Contact Forms if we've already made some, or click on Add New to make a brand new one. And in this case, we're going to click on Add New because we haven't made any yet. And then we can select the language for the form. It should appear in the default language. It will choose the one that your WordPress installation uses. So if you're running WordPress with Japanese as the main language, it will show Japanese in here. I have mine set to English US, and that's what it shows. If you want to have a different language for the form, you can choose it here and click on Add New. I'm just going to click on Add New to use the default language. And the very first thing we want to do is enter the form title. I'm just going to call this Contact Form. And down below, we already have a form pre-created by the plugin, and this is a very generic form that you see all the time online. And the first field is going to ask for the person's name. The second one is their email. The third is the subject of what their message is about. And the fourth field is their message, and there's a submit button. And most contact forms for most websites, that's really all you need. So that's all we're going to use. So for this, we're going to click on Save. And that basically just saves our contact form as the title. It saves this demo content, and it gives us a short code right here for the form. But there's another component to the form we have to take a look at, and that is in the Mail tab. In the Form tab, that's how the form appears on your page, and the Mail tab is the email that is sent after the form is submitted. So you want to go through here to make sure all the fields are correct. In the To field, this is the address that the email will be sent to. So when someone fills out the form, the email that is generated will go to whatever address is in this field. The From address will be, in this case, the person's name that they entered in the form, and then from your website. The subject will be the subject they entered. The Reply To email, if you click on Reply on the message, it will autofill their email address, which is what we want. In the message body, it's going to say from the person's name and their email. It's going to show their subject, and then it's going to show the actual message. And really, that's pretty much ideal. It has all the information they entered into the form, and that will be sent to you at your email address. Whatever email address is entered here, it can be yours or a team member's, doesn't matter. But they will get an email after the form is submitted. So you want to make sure that that Mail tab has all the correct information in it. And to install this form on a page, all we have to do is click in this blue area, and it'll automatically highlight this short code. We want to copy it. And in the previous video, we created a Contact Us page. So I'm going to go to Pages now and find the Contact Us page, and then click on Edit. And I'm going to paste the short code into the editor right here, and then click on Update. Then I'm going to click on View Page, and here's the contact form. So it's the name field, email field, subject field, message, and send. And that's exactly what we want. And that's how quick and easy it is to add a functioning form to your website using Contact Form 7. Now that we have the form installed so people can contact us, that basically sums up our entire website with the stuff that we did last time. We built our homepage, we built our blog page, we built the About page, and now we have a fully functioning Contact Us page. So now the remaining plugins we're going to use are more of a back-end type plugins. Next one we're going to install is SEO by Yoast, so we can configure the SEO settings of your website to make sure that search engines find your content and rank it appropriately. So to install that plugin, we hover over plugins on the left again, and we click on Add New, and we type in Yoast SEO. Yoast is spelled like toast, but with a Y. So this very first one is the Yoast SEO. We're going to want to click on Install Now, then click on Activate Plugin. And Yoast generates this pop-up message to have you take the tour, which is a great idea if this is your first time using it. Go ahead and take that tour. It shows you around the plugin and all the stuff you can do with it. And the Yoast plugin adds an SEO tab or an SEO link on the left-hand side, and we want to click on General when we hover over that. And you'll see this through the tour as well if you take the tour. And if you had neglected the tour or turned off the tour but you want to take it later, you can click on the Start Tour button here. But where you want to go is the Your Info tab. And you want to type in your website name and an alternate name if you have one. So for example, ListBrains is about lists. So it's going to be, the concept was it's going to be a website where we have top 10 lists for all kinds of different things. So the alternate name could be Top 10 Lists. And that's another name you want Google to consider your site for. So we have ListBrains as the brand, and then all we do is top 10 lists. So we have top 10 lists as our alternate name. And then you can choose whether you're a company or a person. In this case, I'm just going to choose a company. I'm going to call it ListBrains. And you can add a logo if you want. And then click on Save Changes when you're done. And in the Webmaster Tools tab, if you want your website or you want the information to be populated into your Webmaster Tools, this is where you do that. So usually the Google Webmaster Tools is all I work with. Sometimes I use Bing. The others I don't really worry too much about because most website traffic in most parts of the world comes from Google, so that's really the one I'm most concerned about. And this doesn't really, having this integrated doesn't affect your search engine ranking. It just gives you data on whether there are problems that the search engine encountered on your website. So for example, if Google can't access certain pages, then you'll be warned if you have Google Webmaster Tools. If you don't integrate this, you won't be warned. So let's go ahead and verify this site in Google Webmaster Tools so that we can get those warnings if they do occur. So what we want to do is open a new tab and go to webmaster.google.com. And if you don't have a Google account yet, you'll be asked to make one at this point. And either way, you got to click on Sign In to Search Console. And then hopefully you have an account already. If you don't, you have to make a new one. And once you're logged into the Search Console, in my case, there's a bunch of websites listed here. In your case, there may not be if it's a brand new account. You want to click on Add Property either way on the top right. And we want to enter the URL of our website. I like to copy and paste it just to make sure it's accurate. Paste it in there, click on Continue. And Google now wants to verify the website, and they provide a bunch of different methods. Their recommended one is uploading an HTML file to the root. But to make life easier, if we go back to the Yoast plugin, we have these fields, and what it says here, verify or enter the verify meta values for Google Search Console. So we need to find the meta tag that Google wants for verification. So if we go back to the Search Console, click on Alternate Methods, and we choose the HTML tag, and Yoast will pre-populate this information that you have here. All we need to copy is this meta tag right here. And it won't let me copy just that piece. So I'm going to copy the whole thing, paste the whole thing in here, and then delete everything up to the quotations, and everything behind those quotations. So all we have is what was in the content parameter. And then click on Save Changes. Once that's saved, we're going to head back to Google Webmaster Tools, and we're going to click on the red Verify button. And if everything went well, the verification should be successful, and it is. Congratulations, you've successfully verified ownership of listbrains.com. In your case, it would be whatever your website is. Then we click on the Continue link, and it takes us into the Search Console where you see information about your website. Now, because we just authenticated this website, there's going to be no information here except for whatever stock. When you do get some more data, and you're going to have to get some traffic to get data, you can go into places like Search Traffic, and you can see Search Analytics. It'll show you some of the keywords people are using to find your website. It will show you links to your website from other websites. It will show you all the internal links that Google has found. Manual actions are a bad thing, so hopefully you won't see anything in there, but that's something like if Google thinks your website is spamming people or if there's malware. Manual actions means an actual person has checked out your website and decided there's bad stuff going on, and they've done a manual action. So you don't ever want to have anything happening in here. International targeting. Let's go into that option right now. So for the language, it says Google has not yet processed the href lang tags for your site because we just validated it. So we're going to need to give Google some time to do that. But what we can change right now is if we click on the Country tab, we can select which country to target users in. Click that checkbox. And you want to pick the country that your company is based in. If you're an online business, obviously you're worldwide, but you're going to have a main demographic. So if your website is written in English and you live in the UK, maybe the UK is your primary target. Maybe the US is, maybe it's Australia. Maybe you want to target just India or just China or just Russia. It doesn't mean you're going to get only people from those areas, but it will affect how your search rankings are inside of the different country-specific Google websites. So you want to pick the main country you want to focus on and then click on Save. And you can also not pick one. It's up to you. You can just have it not picked and everything is just displayed naturally the way it is. But there is a little bit of an advantage by having your main country selected. Then the Mobile Usability tab is the next one down below. And this one's an important one because mobile friendliness is now as a ranking factor in Google. So Google has not yet processed your site because it's been too soon. But once it has, it will show you whether it thinks your site is mobile friendly or not. And you can go through all these options, just click through and see what they all are. You're not going to have any data yet, but you click through and look at them all. And once there is data coming in, this is some very useful information that you find here. So let's head back to Yoast SEO to do some more configuration. So the next tab in the general settings is the security tab. And this one only has one option, and that's disable the advanced part of the SEO or Yoast SEO meta box. And you're probably wondering, what on earth is the meta box? Well, we'll get to that later. Yoast actually adds a meta box to every post and page on your website in the backend editor, where you can change a bunch of things in regards to SEO, and it's really useful. So if you don't know what this is talking about, you can just leave it as disabled, and that's fine. Just leave it as disabled. And these general settings are really all you need to do right now. So just to get your site up and running, this is all you have to do. You can go through all the other options. There's a lot of explanation as to what each option does, so you'll be able to figure it out from there. But for the purposes of just getting the basic SEO going, this is all you have to do. And the core part of making Yoast SEO function as an SEO plugin is what it adds to your posts and pages. So I'm going to show you right now what has been added to all posts and all pages when you go into the editor. You have a new meta box. This box right here, this white area, is called a meta box, and this is the Yoast SEO box. If you don't see it, scroll to the very top of the page. When you're editing a post or a page, click on Screen Options and make sure the Yoast SEO checkbox is selected. And if it is, this box should be appearing. And this is where you add your SEO content. So for example, you're writing a post called Hello World. Your keyword, your focus keyword, would probably be hello world. When you tab out of your focus keyword, it shows you some information on where to add that keyword to make it more optimized. So the green is good, red is bad. So we have hello world, the keyword, in the heading, in the page title, in the URL, but we don't have it in the content and we don't have it in the meta description. The content is what you find here, and the meta description is what you find in this box down here. We're going to fix those in a second, but we're going to add an SEO title, which in this case is the same as the one we have on the blog post itself. In the meta description, I'm going to type in hello world. This is my very first post. So as you can see, as we added that in, it updated this from a no to a yes. And the number inside the brackets is how many times the keyword appears at that location. So I'm just going to copy hello world, and I'm going to paste it into the content at the beginning. And I'm going to paste it in at the end. And now if we scroll back down, we have to save the page. But this will update to yes with the number 2 inside when we save the page. I'm going to click on update, scroll down, and now the content says yes and 2. And to get your SEO right, what you want to make sure is that your focus keyword, that you have a yes for every single one of these. And the content, you often want to have more than one. If you have a 500 word article, you probably want to have your keyword appear 3 or 4 times throughout that article. And then the other tabs on the SEO, so like the page analysis tab, what it does, after you save the page, it analyzes a bunch of things that relate to SEO and determines whether your page is doing those well or poorly. So the red dots mean you fail, the yellow dots mean you're not doing great, and the green dots mean super, don't change that. So you want to focus on the red and the yellow dots whenever you're creating a post. And remember, this information only appears after you save your site. So if you make changes now to try to get rid of these, you have to click on update first, and then it will update this information to see if you've done better. So the very first one says there are only 18 words in the body copy. This is far too low and should be increased. And what it's talking about is this content here. Now what I'm going to do is just copy and paste this a couple times. And then click on update. Now that message should change. If we scroll down, click on page analysis. Now our body copy, this is it right here now. There are 460 words in the body copy, and this is more than the 300 word recommended minimum. So we've gone from a red to a green dot, which is great. Now the next problem we just created. The keyword density is 12.5%, which is over the advised 4.5% maximum. The keyword was found 52 times. And they're of course referring to the keyword that we have in the general tab, which is hello world. So we want to remove a whole lot of hello worlds on the page to get this down below 4.5%. So as you're making your content, if you continually update or resave the draft and make sure all of these items are green, you are far ahead of most people in regards to SEO. And this is where the real power of the Yoast SEO plugin is these analysis that you have here. And then in the social tab is the other important tab. When this post is being shared on Facebook, you can have a custom Facebook title for that Facebook share, a custom description, and a custom image. Same for sharing on Twitter. Custom Twitter title, custom Twitter description, custom Twitter image. And these have changed a lot over the years. There used to be a Google Plus option on here, and I predict that one day there's going to be a LinkedIn and maybe a Pinterest option in here. But for now, it's just Facebook and Twitter. But look out for those to change in the near future. So that is the power of the SEO plugin, or the Yoast SEO plugin, and that is how to use it to its fullest effect. So make sure you install that plugin on your site and make sure it's SEO optimized by making sure that all of these items are green. So now we're going to install the next plugin, of our 5. We've already installed Contact 7. I made the form. We've installed SEO by Yoast and configured it, added it to the Search Console, validated our site, and we've learned how to do basic SEO on our content using that plugin. And now we're going to install the Wordfence plugin, which will enhance our website security. To install it, we go to Plugins, click on Add New. We type Wordfence into the search bar, click on Enter or press Enter. And it's the very first one that appears in the top left. We click on Install Now. Then we click on Activate Plugin. And then we have another pop-up just like we had with SEO Yoast, but this one is for entering your email to get alerts. So when Wordfence finds something bad on your site or something you need to know about, it sends an alert to your email address. So I recommend that you do add this in because it's important to get those security alerts. And then you make sure you uncheck this box if you do not want to be part of their mailing list. Then click on Get Alerted, and you've been added. And then you can start the tour, and you can have a tour of the plugin just like with the Yoast plugin if you want to see what this plugin is all about. I'm just going to give you a quick crash course on this plugin. The plugin added a menu item on the left, and one of the most important areas is the scan area, which is at the very top. Now when we are in the scan area, we click on the Start Scan button, and what this plugin does is it scans your site files for potentially dangerous things, specifically malware or evidence that something has been hacked. So if you click on Start Scan, this scan can run in the background. So you can start scan, you can go off and do other stuff on your site, and this scan will run on its own. And these 3 options are for paid members only, but all the rest are for everybody. And then the theme scan and plugin scan in this case have been skipped because it's not enabled in the options. And what it's doing right now is comparing the WordPress core files against the originals in the repository. So if there's been a change in the core files, the plugin will tell you about it. And the theme scan and plugin scan that were skipped, they do the same thing. They compare your plugin files and your theme files to the originals that they should be and make sure there are no changes. If there are changes, it tells you about them. If we want to enable these settings, we just click on Visit Options. It takes us to the options page. At the very top, we see a red warning asking, do you want to update Wordfence automatically? I say yes. And then whenever there's a new update available, it's updated automatically because you want to have your security plugins be the most up to date, because security is an ongoing issue and it's just going to become more and more of an issue as the years go by. So the most important options that I set, I leave everything as default for the most part, but the options that I change are, for one, when we go down to the scans to include section, I check the box to compare the theme files and the plugin files. And I go down further. And for the login security options, I make sure that strong force or strong passwords are enforced. So this next option asks you how long or how many times someone has to fail at the login before they're locked out. And the option that's by default is 20. I think that's way too many. I put this down to 3 usually. And for the forgot password, how many forgot password attempts can you do before you're locked out? I have it down to 2 usually. And then count the failures over what time period. So these 3 failures, if they occur within 5 minutes, then they're locked out. Or you could have it within 30 minutes or 6 hours or 1 day. I usually keep it at 5. And then the next option is how long that user is locked out once they are locked out. And I have this set to 20 days. And you might be thinking, well, what if you lock yourself out? Then you're kind of hooped. Well, it turns out that I'm never hooped because I use something called LastPass that stores all the passwords from my WordPress site. So I rarely have trouble logging into any of my websites. But if I did have trouble logging in, all I would have to do is log into my cPanel, go to the file manager, disable the Wordfence plugin, and then I can log in again. Once this plugin is disabled, you can log in without any problems. The next option, immediately lock out invalid usernames. So, for example, you should not have a username called admin on your website. But if someone tries to use the username admin that doesn't exist on your site, they'll be locked out immediately. So you can't have people go to your login page and start trying random usernames. They have to use a valid username, otherwise they're immediately locked out. And I check this checkbox all the time. And then I leave these other ones as they are, and this field down here, immediately block the IP of users who try to sign in as these usernames. And I type in ones that I found throughout our websites and our client websites are most commonly used by people trying to brute force a website. And they seem to always try similar ones. Admin is one of them. So if anybody enters admin, they're immediately locked out. Their IP is blocked immediately. They often try to type in the name of the website. So I'm going to copy and paste that into here with the .com and without the .com. And it's these three that I see that are being used over and over and over again. I've seen ones like Susie and Linda and Bob tested as usernames for brute force attacks, but you never know which one of those it's going to be. But these ones I see all the time. Admin, the domain of the website, and the website name without the .com extension. And that's all the settings that we need to set right now. All the others are fine as defaults. There's a lot in here. So if you have a bit of extra time, I encourage you to look through it and read all these things, because this is an awesome plugin for really hardening your WordPress site. But if you don't have the extra time, just change the ones that I showed you and then click on Save Settings. Leave all the rest as defaults. And the changes are saved, and that's all we really need to do right now for the Wordfence plugin. We've got the automatic scans. We'll go back to the scan page right now. And we have the hardened login page. So here we see the scan is complete. It was running in the background as we're messing around with the security options. And down here it shows new issues, and there's no security problems. If there were problems, they'd be displayed down here, and you'd get an email to the email address that you entered for the alerts. And on the left hand side, you can see under Wordfence there's a lot of other options. I can go all day just on this one plugin. If you have some extra time, I encourage you to look at it. But the settings we just went through, plus all the defaults that it already has set, that's good enough to start off. So the next plugin we're going to install is the Google Analyticator plugin, which will allow us to integrate our Google Analytics account. If you don't have one, we're going to get one, and I'm going to show you how to integrate the plugin. So we're going to go to Plugins on the left, click on Add New, type in Google Analyticator, and it's the first one on the top left. Click on Install Now, then click on Activate Plugin, and what it does is it adds another menu item on the left-hand side of the page, and we click on that. So we're taken to the initial authentication page. When you authenticate via the method at the top, you're able to get statistics directly in your WordPress site in the dashboard. But I don't ever do that, really. I always get my data from Google Analytics itself. I don't do it in the WordPress dashboard. So I always choose to continue without authentication, which the plugin itself functions the same way. It's just that you don't get the Analytics dashboard on your WordPress site. So here we have a nice big red box drawing a lot of attention. Google Analytics integration is currently disabled. Duh, we haven't installed it yet, which we're going to do right now. So Google Analytics logging we're going to change this to enabled. And what we need to do is get the UA Analytics ID from your Analytics account. If you don't have one yet, open a new tab and go to analytics.google.com. And if you don't have a Google Analytics site yet, you'll be prompted to make one. If you created a new Google login for your Google Webmaster tools earlier in this video, you can use that for your Google Analytics. So once you're here, we want to click on the admin tab at the top. Then we want to click on the drop down under property, and at the very bottom click on create new property, and I want to type in the domain or the website name. I want to type in the domain here. I want to choose our industry. if you can find one. And basically this is for benchmarking. So Google can compare your site to aggregate data from all sites in the same industry. Once you have those couple settings done, click on Get Tracking ID. Then we scroll up, and this is our tracking ID right here. So we want to highlight all of that, click on Copy, go back to our Google Analytics plugin, highlight this, click on Paste, and now we have our tracking ID in there. And this is the universal tracking code. If we go back to Analytics, it says right here, this is the universal tracking code for this property, and that's the one we want. Go back to our plugin, keep it as universal. I don't use the support us because it adds a link to your site, to the dashboard in this case. Anyhow, after all that's set, I click on Save Changes, and now that big red warning goes away, and our website data will be tracking and feeding into our Google Analytics account, where we get all kinds of data about our website. And it's really important to have that, because if you don't have that data, you don't know what's working and what's not, what pages are popular, which ones aren't. Even if you don't plan on looking at this data for the next 6 months, install or integrate this plugin, get it tracking the data so you have some historical data, and just get it in there. Once you do this 5 minutes to set up, it's all running in the background on its own. So just get that done, and you'll thank me for it in the future. So that brings us to the end of this video, and that covers the 4 plugins that I think you absolutely need to have on every WordPress site. We added Contact Form 7 to have a fully functioning contact form. We added SEO by Yoast so you can SEO optimize your pages. We added Wordfence security plugin to harden your login page and do routine scans of all your content to make sure there's nothing buggy going on. And we added Google Analyticator to integrate with Google Analytics so that you can see your website data. I hope this video helps you. My name is Bjorn Allpass from WP Learning Lab. Please make sure you like this video, share it on social media, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and check out wplearninglab.com, where we write about WordPress every single day. Talk to you soon.